For today's lesson, our focus standard comes from grade 7, the number system, standard 1A. Describe situations in which opposite quantities combine to make 0. The topic for this lesson comes from our new unit, adding and subtracting integers, making 0 with integers. Our essential question is, how do we classify integers and which integers combine to make 0? Please take a moment pausing the video if you need to copy the topic and the essential question in your header along with today's date, set the question column in your note column, and resume the video when you're ready to begin. Alright, so this being our first video on adding integers and dealing with integers, I wanted to talk a little bit about some vocabulary. So here I have a number line. It's numbered from -10 on the left up to 0 and over to +10 on to the right. And so using this number line, I want to talk about a few of the following classifications of numbers. First of all, whole numbers. When we're talking about whole numbers, we are talking about 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So anything from 0 on and greater that are whole numbers, meaning not fractions and not decimals. So all of these numbers here are examples of whole numbers. We know that there are other numbers and fractions and decimals in between the whole numbers, but whole numbers are just almost another way that we sometimes classify them are the counting numbers, things that you count by. So let's go ahead and show those on our number line. Alright, so to do that, I've just put a black box around these numbers, which are considered our whole numbers. I'm going to keep adding different boxes here and changing the color, and I put the black box around here too. So go ahead and do that on yours as well. And then we're going to talk about 0. You know where 0 is. It's, well, in this number line, it's right in the middle. It divides positive and negative values. And so what's special about 0 is that it is neither positive nor negative. So it is a neutral number. So we're going to give it its own classification. Alright, so there it is, 0 in the middle here of our positive and our negative values. It is neither, and so I'm putting a green box just around 0, and I've done it here, so it's neither positive nor negative. So now it says we're going to talk about positive integers. Well, positive integers are the whole numbers that are positive. So positive integers are whole numbers, and so they're here starting with 1 up to 10, and that would continue on past this. This is why we have that 0 there. So let's go ahead and mark that up. So there they are in the yellow-orange box. Here are positive integers. And so that leaves just negative integers. So that's everything less than 0, all the whole numbers less than 0. -1, 2, 3, -5, 4, right? All these negative numbers still left of 0. And those are our negative integers. So integers are oftentimes defined as the positive whole numbers and their opposites. So let's mark. Alright, so there we have it. So there are our negative integers in the red box, our positive integers in the yellow box, 0, which is neither positive nor negative, and it's right in the middle, dividing the two groups of integers. And then whole numbers, which does include 0 and all of our positive counting numbers, whole numbers on up. So now that we've talked a little bit about those vocabularies and done a little definition, let's look at some real life examples where we see positive and negative integers, and then we're going to look to see what is the pattern where which integers combine to make 0. So let's look at our first example. So in our first example, we're going to do 3 of them. Eve has a water bottle that holds 4 cups, and she fills it to the top. How much water does she have? So I'm not trying to answer any kind of trick question here, just trying to get us to use integers. So if this water bottle holds 4 cups and she fills it to the top, she would have, if Eve drinks all the water, how much water did the water bottle lose? Well, it was filled to the top. She drank all of it, so it lost -4 cups. So it's a -4 cups loss. So just to recap, we filled it up with 4 cups, and then we combined with that the next step where it lost 4 cups, so plus a -4. So let's fill that in. What happens if we add a +4 and then a -4? What's that going to combine to be? We take +4 cups of water and add to that the -4 cups it lost. How much water do we have left? Well, the answer would be 0, right? 4 plus -4 equals 0. So there's one set of integers that combine together to make a 0. Let's take a look at our second example. Alright, let's look at our second example. If a mountain climber climbs to the top of Devil's Tower, how many feet did she gain? So there's a little note down here about Devil's Tower. From its base to its summit, it's 867 feet. So anybody who climbs from the base to the summit, going straight up, is going to gain a positive 867 feet. Now, that same climber then repels down, right? Because you get up there, you have to get back down. So the climber repels down. How many feet did she lose? Well, it's the same distance, but now we're going in the other direction. So that would be -867 feet. So now we're going to look at what happens if we combine these two actions. If we start with 867, and we add to that a -867, what do we get? Well, we get right back to where we started, and that was at 0, right? We started here at the base, went up where we had done nothing, and then went up 867 feet, and then lost 867. If we combine those two actions, we're back to 0. So let's look at one more last example and see if you can figure out the answer to the question that was asked in our essential question: which integers combine to make 0? So here is our third example. Ms. Wheeler, our counselor, if you don't know, is an avid diver. She dives from the boat, here's my drawing of the boat, 30 feet below. How far did she dive? So the boat is water, right, at the water level, and she's going down below the boat 30 feet. So she dove -30 feet. Right? So we're going to describe that she's going down below the boat. If she then returns to the boat, right, you gotta go back up to get oxygen, right? So now she went straight, and we're gonna assume she went straight down, and now she's going straight back up. How many feet did she gain? Well, she gained 30 feet. So go ahead and write out the number sentence. If we combine these two actions, what happens? So if you wrote down that -30 when she originally dove down plus 30 when she came back up equals 0, I would agree with you. And so all of these examples, if you look, I'm going to change the camera view here. We had +4 and -4, and those combined to be 0. We had +867 and -867, those combined to be zeros. And -30 plus 30, those two combined to be zeros. Notice that in each case it was a positive or negative integer and its opposite. So here was a positive 4 and its opposite, negative 4, combined to make 0. Positive 867 integer and its opposite, the negative 867, also combined to be 0. And same here. So what we call those are additive inverses. When you add opposites, inverses is a fancy word for opposite. If you add opposites, it's going to equal 0. So the sum of any integer and its opposite always equals 0. We are going to conclude here, so please make sure that your notes are complete, and we will continue to work with integers in class.